Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and I have needed to do this video for a while. A few weeks ago, I was called out by the guys over at Rivers Edge Cutlery on their YouTube channel, which you'll find linked down below, along with their other links. I love those guys. I always like to shout them out. Anyway, they did a kind of an open tag video with this concept that was difficult for me to pin down. So basically, in essence, what they did is they created a video saying if you could only pick 3 knives to have for the rest of your life from your existing collection, what would they be and why? You could enhance that by saying there's a house fire and you can only grab 3 knives for some reason and you can never buy another knife again. Those are just the 3 knives. There's also layers to it. Like, I think some people have dissected it to the point where it's like, can I pick a knife that I'm also allowed to rebuy if I sharpen it so many times that the blade is gone, or if I break it in use or something, can I rebuy that same knife again? Like, can I get multiples of these same knives if something happens to them? I don't know. I'm going to try to just keep it as simple as I can and say that these 3 knives make me happy and I enjoy them when I carry them, and I can't imagine being mad at myself down the line for making these choices, because knowing everything that I know now, as deep as I am in the hobby, these are 3 of my favorite knives, and I like using all of them as well. They would have to all be users for me to narrow myself down to only 3. There's no point in my mind at keeping a fidgety knife around just for the sake of it being fidgety when you can only have 3. They've all got to be good, strong users. So let's go ahead and kind of jump right into it. The first one is going to come as no surprise, I'm sure. It's the Konigrius. The Konigrius has been my favorite knife in my collection for a long time now, over a year, and it's the second one I've owned. I've loved them both. Oh, my wall is starting to come off of the wall. Hold on. Anyway, sorry about that. Yeah, it's just been one of my favorites. I've just adored it so much. I love carrying it. I love using it. I love the way it fits my hand. I love how fidgety it is. It is one of my favorite knife actions ever. It's just incredible to play with, to use, and I don't know. It's one of the most perfect full-size EDC knives for me. At this point, having carried it and used it as much as I have for as long term as I have, the only thing really that I would personally change about the Arius is the pocket clip. And that's just because I prefer deep carry pocket clips, and this one leaves a lot sticking out of your pocket. But functionally, this knife clip works just fine. It's easy in and out of the pocket. It's got good retention. It does what a clip is supposed to do. I just wish it didn't leave that much knife sticking out of your pocket. That would be my preference. But I forgive that constantly because I love carrying this knife, and it doesn't stop me. I just adore the Arius. So easy, easy, easy first choice, because this is a user for me and I love it, and I couldn't possibly see myself, if this disaster scenario actually happened, if I could only grab 3 knives. Of course, this would be the first one that I'd reach for, I think. So, all right. The second one is one that's newer to my collection, but I have a decent bit of experience with it at this point, and it's the second example that I've handled. It's the Oz Machine Company Roosevelt. The Roosevelt is, I think, kind of a perfect companion to go along with the Arius, because although it's also a titanium frame lock, also incredibly fun to play with, this one is smaller and slimmer and carries much more comfortably. So if I needed to be a little bit more lightweight and a little bit more slim, this would tick those boxes. It carries great as a secondary. I typically carry 2 knives a day, a bigger front right pocket primary knife and a smaller back left pocket backup knife, a secondary, if you will. And this is perfect secondary territory for me. It's just excellent in that space, and I love the super thin blade geometry. It's very slicey. I like that it's Z-Finite, especially in this circumstance, because Z-Finite is a basically corrosion-proof steel. So with it being Z-Finite and titanium, the bearings, I guess, in this particular one are steel. So if I swapped those to skiffs, then it would be like really, really corrosion-proof. But even without doing that, this knife is about as corrosion proof as folding knives get, and that makes it an easy choice to have around as well, because if I'm doing anything that I might get wet doing, I don't want to worry about my knife rusting, and this is perfect for that role. So yeah, the Oz Machine Company Roosevelt is an easy second choice for me. I just love this knife, and I knew that I was going to love it before I got it because I'd had a loaner and I'd wanted it for so long, and I finally have one, and that joy has not worn off from having it. I just love this knife. My full review is coming real soon on this, by the way. So then the third slot was what was interesting, because a couple of weeks ago, or even just a week ago, my answer would have been different, but something has happened since then. So I'm going to tell you what my answer would have been, because I think it's important, and then I'll tell you what it has changed to. And again, it probably won't be that much of a surprise. It's going to sound a lot like tooting my own horn, but so be it. So if this was a week ago, it would have been the Spyderco PM2. This would probably be the one in particular I'd grab. Maybe it would be my 10V1, because that is the better blade steel, but I just love this spec. I love the green with the FDE, and it's just, this is sweet. So this is the Rivers Edge Cutlery exclusive paramilitary 2 and CTS 204P blade steel, which is a fantastic blade steel, and I just love the way that the PM2 for me for years now has been one of my favorite knives to put in my pocket when I know I'm going to be doing a lot of cutting. And like I said, all these knives need to be users, and with the Arius and the Roosevelt being a little bit nicer, it just feels right to kind of have a knife that's not quite as incredibly nice for when I need to do dirtier, messier jobs. The PM2 runs on washers. It would make a lot of sense in that way. It's still very fun to use and fidget with. Oh, that was terrible. Very fun to use and fidget with, and it's just a great, great knife. I love using it. So would have been an easy pick for me to put it in at number 3, because I love having PM2 in pocket. But the interesting thing that has happened is that my knife is now here, the prototype at least. So this is the Luft Concepts Avant, which I co-designed with my buddy Ryan, and there are inherent similarities to the PM2. Nested liners, hole for opening. This one's micarta, whereas PM2s are G10 typically speaking, but this occupies, for me, in my kind of carry philosophy, a very similar space as the PM2. It is a user. It is designed to go in your pocket and be a knife that you're comfortable cutting a lot of things with repeatedly, over and over, and going crazy with if you need to. It's got some enhancements though for me. It should, because I designed it. So because the ergos work a little bit better for me, because there's no jimping anywhere, because the clip from factory is a wire clip that's deep carry. It's got these advantages that I designed into it, as it should, because again, I designed it. So there's also the added element of this is my knife in more ways than that I own it. It's my knife in the sense that I also designed it. So like, of course I have this inherent attachment to it, so I couldn't not pick this. And it's honestly, I'm as biased as it can possibly be, but honestly for me, it's not just because I designed it. It's also because now that I have the prototype and I've been carrying and using it, I actually like it better than the PM2. That doesn't mean I expect everybody else to like it better than the PM2. The PM2 is iconic, and I just tooted its horn. I love it. But I like the Avant better than the PM2. So Luft Concepts Avant is going to be my number 3 spot. So I guess that's kind of it. We've got the Arius. Let me see if I can hold them all up. This is going to be difficult. The Arius, the Roosevelt, there we go, and the Avant. And these 3, honestly, were a pretty easy pick for me, I think. Each of them just makes sense to me to be the knives that if I could only have 3, I wouldn't be mad at myself. I would be happy to have these 3 be the only knives that I own. That doesn't mean I'm going to go and sell my whole collection right after this video. I love having a diverse array of knives at my disposal, but yeah, I feel good about these 3. So I guess that is what it is. Thank you to the guys over at Rivers Edge Cutlery for tagging me. I appreciate it. Again, they will be linked down below. They're awesome. If any of my friends with channels want to tackle this subject as well, it's a fun wormhole to go down, trying to figure out from your collection which knives you'd be willing to let go, I guess is another way to look at it. So yeah, take a shot at it if it sounds fun to you. But This has been an interesting one. Anyways, thanks, guys. I'll see you on the next one.